Scotland's notorious sex surveys are back in the news, and no in a good way. It's now been revealed that the information gathered from the survey is being advertised for use by external researchers. So in other words, the data gathered is up for sale. ScotGov in essence profiting by soliciting sexual information from minors right across Scotland. If you weren't aware of this survey that was sneakily titled as a health and wellbeing survey, this was issued to Scottish schools in 2021 to much public outrage because it asked pupils as young as 14 about their sexual experiences and history in graphic detail. This survey was incredibly allowed to go out to over 130,000 pupils across Scotland in some sick industrial sexual information gathering exercise by the Scottish Government. And last night, Reporting Scotland done a piece on the new revelations that the data gathered from these sordid surveys had been advertised for use by external researchers, and incredibly, their piece had blurred out the questions asked of pupils. You'll see the still here. So the questions were so graphic that the 6 o'clock news had to blur it out, but it's perfectly acceptable to ask these questions of children. How can this possibly be? Shouldn't the Scottish Government be absolutely ashamed of this? And what type of external research group would want to acquire this information in the first place? Something's deeply, deeply wrong in Scotland when it comes to child safeguarding. And whilst Reporting Scotland need to blur the graphic questions out, I don't. I'll put the images up for you to see and I'll read through them for you. If you read through the questionnaire, it all starts off very innocently, luring pupils in. How pressured or stressed do you feel by the schoolwork you have to do? Very innocent. What do you think you'll be doing as soon as you leave secondary education? Again, very innocent. Then, by the time you get to question 50, this is what you get. People have varying degrees of sexual experience. How much, if any, sexual experience have you had? And look at the answers we've got here. None. A small amount. Kissing, some intimate touching on top of clothes. Some experience, but no sexual intercourse. Touching intimate underneath the clothes, or without clothes on. More experiences, including oral sex, vaginal or anal sex, or prefer not to say. And these answers, they direct to other questions depending on your response, where you get these types of follow-up questions. The most recent time we had penetrative vaginal sex, did you or the other person use any following to try and prevent pregnancy? A fertility app, withdrawal, pulling out, emergency contraception, or someone else, or you don't know? How old were you when you had sex for the first time? 13-year-old or younger, 14-year-old, 15, 16 or older, don't know or prefer not to say. I'll link the entire PDF of the survey in the description or the comments so you can see for yourself just how odd, just how weird and just how downright wrong it is to ask these questions of school pupils as young as 14. These are the types of questions that groomers and paedophiles would ask, quite frankly. So why is the Scottish Government asking them? And getting back to the issue that sparked these surveys, coming back into the news in the first place. The information from these surveys, the information from these very, very intimate, very private questions will be auctioned off by the Scottish Government. And I bet all the perverts on the planet will be putting bids in for it. Remember, over 130,000 pupils took this survey in the first place. Yet parents across Scotland, the parents of the children who have partook in these surveys should band together and sue the Scottish Government into oblivion for this breach of trust, selling off data like this, or even for the fact they've been subjected to this in the first place. And many parents had no idea about it at all. Remember this when the next Scottish election rolls round next year, that not all SNP voters are paedophiles, but all paedophiles are SNP voters. Do your own research and find out exactly who you are voting for.